too. I love this. Hi, everybody. We're so great to be here. Mandy is an incredible human, and I'm really excited to dive into this story today because not only is she successful in what she's done in her career, but when she really founded the story shift, it came from knowing that sometimes whenever we share our story, we're not really sharing it in a way that is supporting others the best way that we could. And, we are really forward thinking on trauma and how to share trauma. And sometimes we end up dumping on our audience. And so, what I appreciate about your approach is not that you're trying to hide away from the story, it's just really opening up our ability to say it differently. So, I am so excited to introduce you today. She is like one of the most prepared humans I know, too. So I'm really excited to hear about your story and just let you take the lead.
That is the teacher's kid in me, Candace, just so you know. 20 years of being a teacher's kid. That's where that comes from. And
Mhm.
part of my personal story was I was a very awkward child. And I really learned that being an overachiever, like that was the niche I could fit into. Like I wasn't super athletic. I wasn't a dancer. I was kind of a chubby, glasses wearing kid, slick back ponytail. Like you get the visual, right? And I learned very early on that being an overachiever was something I could fit into. So I think that's one of those old habits that still dies very hard. And also, I am a learned extrovert, introvert, extrovert. Um, so I think when I feel like I want to really knock it out of the park for somebody, and I adore you. So I think that's one of those ticks. I over prepare. Anyway, that's just an example of how you can get really curious when it comes to your own stories. So people a lot of the time make the mistake of thinking like, "Oh, Mandy, like I don't have any trauma." Okay, well, first of all, I'm 42 years old. I don't know of anybody that hasn't had something happen that makes people go, "Hmm." And if you haven't, that's cool. That's totally fine. Mad respect. But on the flip side of that, all these stories, like there's the big story, right? The big pivots in our lives. And then there's the small micro ones that we don't pay attention to. And that's the whole impetus behind the story shift is like paying attention to the big story, but also all the little ones along the way that got to the big one. Because sometimes we don't think like, why would I react that way? And like there's no reason for that. And then when you kind of dialed it down and really look at the different parts of where that story originated from, it might seem totally innocuous, totally pointless, but it was something that stuck with you.
Yeah.
So, yay.
Well, and kind of what got you into this work?
So after almost, I'll be licensed 19 years in December for massage therapy. And I do Reiki. I do basically anything that aligns with body work and energy work has been my passion for since I was 4 years old, actually. And then I think personally, I'm a little woo, and I hope it's okay that I share this. I was not living my larger purpose. I was hiding behind the massage therapy table, and God, the universe, whatever you want to blame it on, was like, nah, this is like exactly, Susan. Thank you. We do have everybody has some sort of trauma.
Yeah.
But I think my hands were taken away from me. And yes, I am fully healed. I'm great. I'm doing wonderfully now. But for 3.5 years, that was not the case. And as I started to shut down my business, I have clients that stayed in contact, became coaching clients. Like I started off branded as a life coach, and some people are like, oh, you're a life coach. Kind of. Not exactly, but kind of. And I started realizing that the stories that people weren't telling, I knew because I heard about them on the table.
Right.
But the stories people weren't telling were the ones they should have been, especially for entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And so even if it's you only take it as far as reframing it for your own personal benefit, like that work is life changing. But girlfriend, you do it on a stage and you do it in front of people, like you literally watch the entire audience like it's like a wave. Just watch it like the light bulbs going off like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way." So it was purely accidental, and it was partially because I am a military brat, and my dad was always like, "Okay, you're in your field. Now what are we going to do about it?" Right? And he wasn't cold about it, but it was like, "Okay, here's where you want to be. Work backwards." And a lot of times with our stories, we just get stuck. We don't realize that we have control over the entire thing. Maybe not over what happened. Maybe how we see what happened. But moving forward, like you call the shots. And the only person that can change stuff is you. And that's it. Like, but then
Mhm.
we have to acknowledge that we're both the solution and the problem, right?
Ooh, I love that. Enter Taylor Swift in my brain as you know,
Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Taylor, you have saved all of our lives. You know, and how you work with a lot of leaders that really struggle with this. And I do want to double tap on entrepreneurship because this is
Please.
something I was speaking to the other day is like we have to be really open and honest about the journey of entrepreneurship. It is not all glam, it is not all perfect, and it's
It's
actually
ugly. It's
it's like
ugly.
hard in the beginning, and I think it's because we don't truly get to appreciate the journey until much, much later. I know I didn't appreciate that statement until really this last year, and it's like, but that's the evolution and the process we undergo, and I think that's what really builds a solid business is going through all of the things where you're like, is it gonna work? Am I meant to do this? And you start questioning. But you're talking about so what's the value and I know I didn't prep you for this, so I apologize. What's
It's
the
all right.
value of an entrepreneur being open? What's that fine line of like openness and where should they start if they're kind of like, I don't know where I'm going to go with this.
Ooh, can I answer in multiple parts?
Absolutely. I'm saying I'm
um,
really good at asking like a million questions in one.
So, okay. So the first valuable part is I think you know this because I shouldn't say I was, I'm reopening a health and wellness space here, guys. Like I'm stepping back into my life from 3.5 years ago, but I refuse to let this work go. So let's not get it twisted. I'm just gonna have to figure out that balance, that big B word, right? The one that we're not good at as entrepreneurs. But I'm changing that story because I've always been like, oh, I'm scatterbrained, or oh, I'm this, and we absorb those things without even realizing it, right? So the value of a leader doing that is a, if you already have an audience and you're a leader or an authority figure, your brain works differently than the people that are following you, and you have to go first. Like, I hate to break it to you, you picked up the mantle, this is just part of it. And when you allow yourself to be fully seen, I call this like ivory tower syndrome. I work with a lot of executives that are stuck in like corporate speak, or have a big hairy story behind the things that they can't talk about because there's a gag order or there's other stuff going on. So we have to get creative in what that looks like. But when you create an alternate persona that's like way up here, there's been studies done, that co-leadership versus manager underling way of
Mhm,
doing things, you get so much more done. So the first value with doing this work is you don't force yourself into a jacket that's like a straight jacket. You are exactly who you are,
mhm.
and you allow yourself to grow. It's not just so people can see your trauma, they can also see your growth and they want to grow too. So that's like number one. Um, and then So, as a massage therapist, I always have to say, like, we're a medical professional. We have to take the same oath as doctors, do no harm. I've actually created an emotional safety audit for when you're looking at which stories to tell and how to tell it. I have a number one rule: if it hurts, don't do it. There's no
Mm,
reason to cause yourself pain, and causing yourself pain in front of an audience is just a really bad idea because people are like, oh, of course, nobody wants to watch that. But from an energetic perspective, most people that are empathic, which most entrepreneurs are, so
mhm.
now you're not only creating trauma real time, like recreating it, you're dumping it on your audience without even meaning to. So, there's parts of my story I still don't share, because when I was younger, especially when I was getting divorced, people like, oh, honey, that's a lot. Yeah, no crap. I'm aware. Thank you for that very pointed and obvious statement. But
Yeah.
the parts that I am very open and honest about, it's because I've already lived it. I've healed it as much as you can. I don't think we're ever fully healed. We always find some new layers to that. But my message is way bigger than the story that happened. right?
Mhm.
So, I talk a lot about addiction, nervous system work. My ex-husband, he unfortunately passed in 2021 from addiction.
Mhm.
And yes, it still hurts a little bit, but I can speak about it and I'm okay with it. And the reason I'm okay with it is because I've done the work within my body and within my story to go, okay, this is this is something that needs to be talked about, because I can't tell you how many times I get off something like this and I get messages, oh my gosh, I've never known how to share this. So like, if you feel pain when you go to talk about something and it's not an excitement at all, it just hurts, don't do it.
Mm. Yeah. I love that. Well, and you and I share very similar stories of loss. And it's even though I think that's the weird thing is like people always ask you, like, how do you handle something that's a little bit more complex because you're not with the person necessarily when they're gone. But being able to share about the struggles and the what you saw is the value that you can bring to that story because again like when you become an advocate for those who are struggling through it, I think that's where the story finds the purpose, right? And I'm not somebody that's like always like, oh, you gotta like have purpose in everything. And I'm not saying it doesn't, but there's a time and place. And you just mentioned that you work with a lot of CEOs on cultural leadership. So what shifts are you seeing whenever they start sharing these little organizational insights or even their story within the organization, especially given all the shifts we've seen in this last year?
So my favorite example, and this is a fairly recent one, is I had somebody who, she's brilliant, incredible makeup artist, owns a very high-end, I don't I don't think she used the word spa. We're gonna go wellness center. But she was having a really hard time retaining help and um retaining talent. And we sat down and we figured out part of her story was that she had to essentially give away the farm. She's this woman that came from nothing, had all this trauma happen, and she had to literally rewrite that. We did that part together, and her homework, I mean, some of it she didn't need me for other than, hey, did you do it? Did you do it? Because I mean, I don't know, I'd say about 75% of my job is accountability.
Right.
Exactly. But now she has a team that is incredible, was attracted to her because of the parts. And she didn't tell the whole story by a long shot. We picked the pieces. We built her social media up, but also she learned to say no. She learned to say this is not a fit and release the outcome. So a lot of times, especially when you've gone through a lot, you viscerally don't want to say no because you're not allowed to, right? That was part of the story that we had to rewrite, like, and release the emotion around it. Like, you're not a bad guy because you say no. Like, you're just doing them and yourself a favor and saving everybody a whole lot of headaches.
Right.
So that's one of my favorite examples, like I said. And what's funny is it took her 2.5 years to hire me, and I finally, myself getting myself out of my own way, right? Messaged her. I was like, "You really need me. Like, really need me. I love you so much." But we'd already built that trust, and we knew we shared very similar parts of stories.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like we stand in our own way so often, and having that outside guidance really helps us navigate it. I think that that's one of the best things about hiring somebody to come in is it's real easy for somebody on the outside to see the things and just kind of organize it. And when you're hearing people say, "Well, I don't really have a story to share," how do you help them find it?
I just talk. I ask questions. I go back to also with massage therapy, right? Oh, this was a gift. Oh, I don't really need it. Oh, I feel good. I just want to go to sleep. Okay, well, tell me more about that. Tell me more. Like, one tactic that I use that with is a financial advisor. She looks like Barbie. She's absolutely stunning. And she kind of is that example of that ivory tower, right? And we haven't worked together in a professional capacity. We're friends yet. Yet is the operative word. However, she said the same thing. I don't have a story. Well, in our interaction together, it came out that she was a single mom to a little girl. She'd grown up without a lot of things, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to expose everything, but yeah, it would make sense that you're in finance, don't you think? And that you're damn good at it.
Right?
So again, that forest for the trees. Like, people think you're so used to being like, I'm nothing special. I don't have a story. Keep your mouth shut. Don't be seen, present
Mhm.
yourself as the authority figure and the answer. But you can't really present yourself that way unless people know you've lived it. Like nobody gives a damn what your degrees are. I mean, maybe that gets you in the door, depending on what audience it is. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, especially as women, I care a lot more if you understand where I'm coming from than I do, and that you've lived it and can give me examples than
Mhm.
where you went to school.
That's so true. And even just thinking about, I always bring in AI because it's like really shifting a lot of things. And authenticity is one of the biggest driving forces in the next 3 years in marketing, if not forever going forward. And, marketing always sounds so icky, but like it's literally how you present yourself and your business and provide the opportunity. So we had to shift the narrative anywhere there. But being able to help pinpoint those dots and like connect it all forward really guides the audience because I agree. Like, it's great you have a degree, amazing that you have all of this behind you, but if I can't connect with you, it's just not going to happen. Now, do I see the value? Absolutely. So it's going to not minimizing that, but again, like you have to connect with people. And that's like leads into our next question about credentials. So when leaders lead with their credentials, what's the difference in leading with the story and, of course, feeling, like I said, that you have this accomplishment, but leading with the story instead?
It's funny. The first time I ever really embraced that, it was the very first talk I gave 3 years ago. And I got up on stage in rhinestone cowboy boots, and everybody was prepared. And it was like sold out room. It was one of those summits that you have to sign up for. And there was like no pressure. And I think the title of it was like storytelling for social media or something really bland and blasé. Because I got up there and I looked at the crowd and just waited, did the awkward pause, waited for everybody to be quiet. I was like, I know what you guys think you're here for. You're not. And I'm not going to tell you anything about where I went to school or anything else. It's like, 'cause let's be real. You don't really care what I do. You don't really give a damn what I do. You care about how I can help you.
Yeah.
So, just calling a spade is one thing that I love to do. And if I don't know if you're a Deadpool or Ryan Reynolds fan or any of that, but I love breaking that fourth wall. I love being like, I see you over there, like, and calling out somebody, not in an unkind way, but just a come play with me, come into my world, please. Like, there's no expectation, there's no anything here. So, with leaders, and I know not every room you can do that in, especially with you know, certain industries. But one of my favorite things to do is if you are uncomfortable standing on a stage, whatever, okay, let them introduce you, let them introduce your bio. Ask the audience a question and really listen.
Hmm.
And yeah, they heard so and so introduce you, and okay, cool, you've got like a million letters after your last name. Amazing. It proves that you can complete things, which is important. It is important. But very rarely are we ever asked how we really feel or what happened or what our opinions are about things. Or, God forbid, how can I help you?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's that's the end game. Make it not about you. Make it not about you. Make it about your audience.
Yeah. Well, and when people are coming to you, what are they struggling with the most?
So I recently made a shift myself. I used to accept people for storytelling work that did not do any of my nervous system or mindset work previously, and I really struggled. Like really struggled. Because like, oh, just give me your frameworks. No, that's not how it works. And the truth of the matter, and since we're both energy woo-woo beings,
I love
if
it.
you don't embody the story and really own it,
Mhm.
you will never, and let me underline this a billion times, you will never have the impact that you want to,
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
You won't. You just won't.
Mm.
So from now, I am relaunching everything and I'm leading with my process, which is the story shift, which is like, oh, Mandy, help me craft my story. Cool. Well, do you even know what stories you want to talk about? Have you evaluated how you feel about them? Do you know why you feel that way about them?
Mm.
If you're stuck in the messy middle, Are you in a position of being honest and vulnerable enough to where you can admit it, but feel empowered by the fact that you're in control of the next chapter? So that is a very long-winded way of answering you. Now the people that are coming to me are the people that are ready to get on stage, but don't know where to start. They're the people that know they have an incredible story, like homelessness, single motherhood, and nobody knows about it yet. But they
Mhm.
want to do this work first because not re-traumatizing their audience is important and they understand that. And that's something that took me 3 years to really own because, again, part of my story was scarcity. Like, I'm a massage therapist. That is all I'm good for. I'm amazing at that. That's my zone of genius. I can't do that anymore. I'm worthless. Like, being very honest, that was the
Mhm.
recurrent theme in my brain. And it really, really just knocked the hell out of my business for a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, you hit something that is so important to think about because it's like I just said this yesterday, you get really good at owning the story and understanding your part in it. Also, like being able to, again, speak from the non-wounded space. And so can you tell us a little bit more about the nervous system aspect of it? I'm really, really curious to hear it.
Ooh, it's like I get to geek out a little bit. Thank you, Candace.
You're welcome.
So I always ask people going back again, see how much this massage therapy stuff helped me and I didn't even own it for the longest time. People, my clients would argue with me about energy not being real. And I'd say, "Really? You've never gotten pissed off for no reason just because somebody else was angry? You've never not wanted someone to hug you and you didn't know why?
Mm,
Never. You've never had somebody that on the surface everybody else loves them, but there's something about them that just makes you crazy. That's never happened to you. That is your nervous system telling you it's not safe. Now, whether it's not safe is because of something that you have internalized, or if it's your safety system going, no, 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 no. It really isn't matter. It doesn't matter because in this capacity, you have to pay attention. Now, if it's something that this person's triggering an unhealed part of you, that's an invitation to really dive deeper and figure out why. If it's something like this person's totally out of alignment, you can just sense it's false. It's like something's not right there. That's also your body doing you a favor. You're not in the right room.
mm,
So with nervous system, the work that I do is where do you feel it? Why do you think you feel it this way? Have you ever felt it this way with a different story, with a different um, scene, right? And a lot of times people can't answer me right away, which is why like I usually have a Telegram or a Voxer channel. Like I want you to brain dump. I want you to think about this. But the nervous system work is where the stories live. That's
mm.
whether they're true or false, because again, the brain is the most powerful thing you own. And it doesn't matter if it actually happened or not, your perception of it that it did is enough.
Right.
That's why the honest to God, Candace, like that's why the first thing I do is like, how were you? Like how much are you willing to actually do the work to heal this part enough to talk about it? And honestly, the beautiful thing about it is we're in a we're in a enlightened shifting space right now. So my
Mhm.
work is getting much easier. I say
Same.
this and I guarantee you there's somebody on this live like I want to work with her because you do energy work, I do nervous system work. Those are words they understand where they know they need help. So we're not out here convincing people. We're just saying, "Hey, we can help." And it's not exactly stuff that people like Google, right?
Right.
Like so if people don't know what you do, you got to make them understand why you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love that you mentioned my work has gotten so much easier over this last year for that very reason, because there's a lot of people out there that do all of this work and never mention it anywhere. And that's okay. You don't have to, spill the beans, but it's literally changing their lives. And it's because it's what works. It's literally what works. And yeah, it's exciting to be a practitioner in this time because I remember when I first opened up, I was like, "Are you energy?" I, like, felt like the physical pitchforks were coming at me. But it's just not that way anymore. People are really understanding the value of understanding who they are and really coming to, again, regulate what's within here. And imagine if you could transform your story into something beautiful for someone else to be guided through. So I love the work that you're doing. So go ahead and let us know what you're relaunching, all the details, throw it at us.
So I don't know who said it. Somebody said, like, I'm in the messy middle part of entrepreneurship. Yeah, I actually feel like part of me was a little fraudulent when I used to do massage therapy. Oh, I'm an entrepreneur. Because there's a roadmap with that. Not a complete one, but there's a decent roadmap with that. With this work, there really hasn't been. There is narrative coaching, which is very much mindset work. And then there is story coaching, storytelling coaching, which is, like I said, the frameworks and, teaching people how to basically perform, which again, no shade at all. But the magic happens when the two happen together, right? So, the Story Shift Academy is something that I'm launching. I am pushing it back to January, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Because um, I really believe that the 48. So I am the author and founder. So the Story Shift is a journal and also part of my process. But my book, 48 Hours to Change Your Life, is up for a pretty massive award here, and I've realized that that's the framework that people need to start with. So if I just launch the Story Shift Academy and they don't have any idea what I'm talking about, I'm doing them a disservice, which is why this is being pushed off to till January. So the book, The 48 Hours to Change Your Life, is basically how I rebuilt my life from the ground up when I left my ex-husband. And it was very much is dedicated to my dad and my now husband. And it's the framework that I use. So evaluating relationships, evaluating boundaries, evaluating environment. So it's all the things. Consider it like a business blueprint for your life, right? Like, I don't know of anybody that's ever done this, but and I used to joke with my husband, like, I could change the world if I taught this. So, especially in light of being up for an award, we're going to do that.
Yeah.
So, the 23rd of September, I am lowering the price for one day only because I really would love to hit Amazon bestseller. I can speak, y'all. Too much coffee. Jesus. Hi. Um, so that's the 23rd, and then I find out if I actually won on the 24th. And then there's a whole bunch more behind the curtain, but moving forward, I'm going to require everybody to start with the 48 hours to unpack like where in your business. And if you want to use it to focus on business, that's fine, because I've used it for my business as well as my life. Like, who can help you rebuild? Who can you shamelessly approach for, referrals? What environment? What is your rent range? So it's one of those things that has been very hard to put wording to because you don't see it until you see it. But
Yeah.
the Story Shift Academy will be the home for everybody that is learning how to do this work and shift the stories. And eventually, my goal, which a lot of people don't understand, is that you don't need me. Maybe you need a tune up every 6 months or whatever, but after that, you don't need me because it's not my job to keep you crippled. It's my job to give you wings.
Yeah. That's how I live my practice too. It's like, I don't want a whole bunch of codependency in my life. Thanks. Like, and it's not, I'm not trying to be harsh there, but it's like, I really do enjoy the process of watching people evolve and not be dependent because as women who have gone through our autonomy being taken or our authority or power being really stripped down, it's more empowering to help people guide themselves through the process of life. And we aren't servicing anybody by keeping them around forever. And that's one of the things I love about you is we are very synergistic on that because if I have a client forever that's like not doing tune-ups, like that's totally different. I say the same thing. That's funny. But I'm not servicing them as a healer. I'm not servicing them as a coach and mentor. So I just we had some work that we're going to do together. I can tell. So, anyways, well, how can people best connect with you and going forward? How can we support this book launch or not the book
It's
launch,
like a
but
relaunch.
this award
So, um,
relaunch? Yeah.
on September 23rd, that morning, I'll be dropping the price. It's normally $24.99 because it's a little bit mighty. It's 100 pages. Like, you can get through it, especially if you're a speed reader. My husband makes fun of me for this. I can reread it within an hour and a half, and I wrote it, and I do on a regular basis. So September 23rd is the day that if you and even if you've already purchased a copy, buy it for a friend. Like, we got the holidays coming up. not only because, you know, okay, cool, yeah, Amazon bestseller. Everybody knows it's a game at this point, and if you do, there you go. I told you. So, but more importantly is I want to get as many copies in the hands of people. Shameless plug. I do have it right here because I'm working on some stuff. But it's literally when you don't know what to do, it's how you get unstuck, right? So it's like whether you're
Mm.
not hitting the revenue you want, or you need to leave your marriage, or your child is showing all the signs of being a little different and you don't want to deal with it. Like, it gives you the chance to step back and look at the story objectively instead of feeling like you're stuck in the story. So that's honestly the biggest ask I have. And just keep watching because the Story Shift Academy, like I said, I'm pushing off until January. And then there will be an opportunity to do the 48 hours to change your life real time with me in October. Um, that'll be October 10th. But my biggest thing is if you haven't purchased the book, please, September 23rd, I'm dropping it to $4.99 for the day. And if you have purchased the book, or you own a copy, buy a copy for a friend because the more people that understand that they have the power to control their story, it's going to change the world.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, I'm going to now add that to the gifts that I'm giving at my retreat in October. So,
Oh, that's sweet.
I love how divine alignment happens always. Well, is there anything out of this whole conversation that you hope people walk away with today?
You're never as far off the life you think you want. You're just not. It is one small step can change everything. And I know that's scary. And a lot of people are like, Mandy, you have no idea what I've been through. Try me. It's not a competition, but you have more power than you
Mhm.
think you do. And just taking the first step creates the momentum you need.
Mm, that's so good. Well, I appreciate you so much for not only your preparedness, but just the conversation. It's lively, it's exciting, and I'm really thankful for your time and everybody that spent time with us today. And so that's all for today. But again, thank you so much for your time, and I'll make sure that we get all of the appropriate links everywhere. So, hope everyone has a good rest of the day. Thank you.